Hey everyone, welcome to Sports Revolution. We are your hosts. I'm Jon.
And I am Joe.
And today we're going to be discussing the upcoming AFC Championship matchup between the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots.
I am very excited for this matchup. This game should be another one for the books.
Yeah.
In the history books.
This could be the final matchup between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and that seems to be stealing all the headlines right now.
Brady versus Manning, always a topic of discussion. In this all-time series between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, Tom Brady is actually outplaying Peyton Manning by a margin of 11-5. However, the last three AFC Championship games, Peyton Manning has been in favor winning 2 out of the 3 games. It's almost two different sides of the spectrum that we're talking about here. Depending on the level of the game and the importance of the game, it looks like Peyton Manning so far has the upper hand over Tom Brady.
Of course, another thing to consider is that right now Tom Brady is an entirely different quarterback from Peyton Manning in terms of his capabilities.
In terms of his capabilities and also in terms of how many different receivers that Tom Brady has had over the years, where Peyton Manning always seems to have consistent wide receivers at all times.
Yeah. And he has capable receivers for this game. Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas. They're both talented receivers, but I think the key for this game is going to be whether or not Peyton Manning is able to throw a couple of touchdown passes.
Yeah, that's going to be a big thing. And also, they're out in Mile High Stadium, which that's one of the hardest places to play in football because of the high altitude, and I'm sure it's going to be frigid cold out there this time of the year as well.
Yeah, which we know are conditions that Tom Brady excels in.
Yep, absolutely. Now, going back to the divisional round between the New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs, New England did come out victorious. Do you think the Patriots actually won that game, or do you think Kansas City mismanaged the time clock?
Kansas City seemed to be incapable of stopping New England's offense. I don't think that there was a moment during that game when it seemed as if Kansas City was going to mount a comeback. New England was in control throughout the entire duration of it.
It kind of looked like Kansas City didn't really have much of an offensive punch against that New England defense as New England did against the Kansas City defense, which actually, to me, came to a big surprise.
Yeah, because Kansas City's defense had been quite formidable up to this point, and they ended up being trounced by New England.
Yeah, and Andy Reid, he's been receiving a lot of criticism from the media, the fans, because he would not stop the clock. He just kept letting it play on, which that could have ultimately allowed more time to Kansas City to stage a little bit of a comeback, which in the end didn't happen.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that's going to be an issue in this game against Denver?
Experience is going to be what's coming in the end, and Denver's a much more experienced, a much more developed team than Kansas City is. And I don't think there's going to be any petty mistakes in this game versus what Kansas City had done against the Patriots in the last round.
Let's recap the divisional matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos.
All right, so the Denver Broncos came out victorious in this game, and I give a lot of credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Under the circumstances that they were in with all the injuries to Antonio Brown, to D'Angelo Williams, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't even 100%. They made it pretty far and actually played pretty well.
Yeah, they delivered a commendable performance, even if the final score didn't quite reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Denver came out victorious, of course, because of their defense, number one. And they were able to exploit all of Pittsburgh's weaknesses without their star punches.
I agree. I think with a completely healthy core, that game might have gone a little differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike Tomlin, he was put in a very tough spot, even having to decide if Ben Roethlisberger was even going to play or not. But he made the decision to throw him out there to get him to start playing and was able to actually keep up good competition against Denver.
Okay, so with that, key players of the game. Who do you think the key players will be on each team?
For New England, it's definitely going to be Tom Brady once again. He's experienced in the playoffs, and he's capable of picking apart the Denver defense, which the Denver defense is going to be tricky once again. They were ranked first overall in rushing yards allowed, passing yards allowed, and they were third in the NFL in defensive scoring. So when the defense commits a turnover, they can easily pick 6 at any point in time, which creates a bigger challenge for Brady. But Brady, I think he'll still excel in this game.
Okay, how about Denver?
This sounds very, very predictable, but Peyton Manning is definitely going to be the X factor in Denver's offensive success throughout the whole game, regardless of who's at receiver.
I think unless he gets hurt, it's going to be do or die with Peyton Manning. They're going to go all the way with him. My picks for New England, I'm going to go with Tom Brady, because I think Tom Brady is obviously the centerpiece of the offense. And we saw with Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski at full health, he can go up against just about any defense in the league. We know that when he faced the Broncos earlier this season, he threw for 3 touchdowns and 280 receiving yards. That was without Julian Edelman or Danny Amendola. And Rob Gronkowski went down towards the end of that game. So if he can put up those numbers without a full receiving core, I think he's going to do just fine in this game. For Denver, I think it's going to be up to Denver's defense. This is going to be a huge game for them. They're going to have to put up the best game that they've put up this entire season. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not they can do that. They're a capable defense. They have a lot of talent. They have a strong front 7. But Tom Brady's a whole different class of quarterback.
Now moving on to the final verdict. What's going to be the final score in this game? Now, Denver had faced New England earlier in the season out in Denver, same exact setting, Mile High Stadium. The game ended up going to overtime, and it was still an offensive juggernaut between the two teams, which Denver came out victorious. I think this time around, this New England team knows what Denver's going to be throwing at them. I'm still going to say it's a high-scoring game, but I'm actually going to go 41-31 in favor of the New England Patriots.
Man, that's a hell of a verdict.
It's a very high score, but I'm sticking to my instincts.
Yeah, when fully healthy, we've seen this Patriots team put up those kind of numbers. And even though Denver's defense is formidable, the Patriots are at full strength. So I don't think they're going to be able to overcome them. My pick, the New England Patriots over the Denver Broncos. I think it will end up having a total score of 45-21. I think they're going to run rampant over them.
Wow. Talk about one team completely outweighing the other. That's a pretty heavy prediction. Well, there you have it. We both agree that it will be the New England Patriots winning over the Denver Broncos and moving on to their second consecutive Super Bowl. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Give us a like, a subscribe.
I'm Jon.
And I am Joe. This is Sports Revolution, and take care, everyone.